just making this up. This is good. Okay. Usually what we're finding out is that the physical issues that we have are really secondary to other issues. Okay? So emotionally, we may have some things going on, and by the time it surfaces, it turns itself into a physical issue. So when we can find out what these other issues are underneath the skin, usually the physical stuff starts to go away. The oils don't help solve the problem. No, the oils don't solve the problem, they help solve the problem. So basically they're creating an atmosphere or an environment for the healing within our body and our mind and our spirit to take place, okay? And that happens both physically and spiritually. What you need to remember is if any of you are not using doTERRA oils, some of the oils that I'm going to give you here, I'm going to give kind of some recipes. You want to make sure that you don't go to the grocery store and buy those kind of oils. These remedies are only for, obviously, doTERRA certified pure therapeutic grade. And there's a reason why when you take a plant and you take an oil and you keep it in its purest form, it not only helps physically, but it kind of moves you into that next stage of healing, which is emotional and spiritual, okay? So, there are 5 stages to healing. The first one is when we heal the physical body. So maybe you have a rash going on, or heart problems or something like that. So we use the oils to combat that and to help that out. Once we've moved from that, and maybe you don't even have the physical problem. I mean, I got into doTERRA just kind of believing them. I didn't really have any physical things. I thought, oh, I'm going to go work on this for me personally. So to me, it automatically started moving down to number 2, which is healing the heart. And that's where I'm going to kind of focus most of my talk here on, my presentation. Then after it heals the heart, it then goes into releasing our beliefs. Okay, we all have belief systems just by what we've experienced in our life. And then it moves into, spell check there, bringing you to a spiritual awareness and connection. So just for fun, I'll ask, do you feel, any of you who've used these oils for a while, that you feel more spiritually connected or spiritual things going on?
Big time.
Okay. Okay. And then the very last step, and this is a continuous circle, but then you're inspired to find your life's purpose. And that is amazing. You're not here just to do what maybe you think you're here to do. There's always a greater purpose, and when you find that out, these oils help you to get to that spot. And it's more than we can ever think on our own. So healing our heart. After we heal the physical, the oils then give us energy to then move into that heart. I'll stop you right now. What I'm going to do is have you write down my email. And if any of you want me to email this, because I have a lot of recipes at the back, and after I kept doing them, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm just going to have to email them. So if you'll email me, I will forward you this whole presentation. I just did it, okay? So don't take a million notes if you don't want to. Take notes that as if you're inspired in your mind, something for you. But my email is thehoneypeople@hotmail.com. Okay? And then I'll just forward it on to you. Okay? So don't worry about taking a million notes. What the oils are actually doing, these oils have a vibration to them. That might be kind of new to some of you. Basically everything is energy, or everything has a frequency. So these oils are raising the vibration of your physical body, okay? And when you do that, then all of a sudden these lower vibrations that you have in your body, like fear or anger or resentment or some of these things that we've just trapped inside, we've held on forever. After a while, when you kind of have moved past that physical part, these things down here don't want to live in that state anymore. So what these oils are doing is actually kind of bringing that to the surface, and then it's going to allow you to deal with it, but won't get rid of them. But it's going to allow you to kind of deal with the issue at hand. Okay? Healing is experienced as these these old feelings surface and release. This could be painful, okay? Not like physical pain. Sometimes it could be, you know, like a heartache or whatever. But you will experience it in a short amount of time. So for instance, the most amount of healing I've seen here is with my son, who is an angry boy. He would talk about suicide and just some lot of dark some dark things. He was not a happy boy. And we did a lot of different alternative healing modalities, I guess. Once I found the oils, I was like, oh, this is it. This is so much easier than what I've been doing. And so he still had these issues that he had dealt with. He would have a lot of tantrums and anger things or whatever. Well, as I saw these start releasing on him, he would go through these same episodes in about 5 minutes. So normally when he would have these outrages and these outbreaks and this craziness that would last like 3 or 4 hours uncontrollably, all of a sudden as these started to surface, it would last like 3 or 4 minutes. He would kind of go bonkers and yell and scream and say the same things he used to, and then it would be gone. And he was like, whoa, what was that? In fact, if you remember, I taught the emotional class months ago, I don't know how many months ago. And when I went home, my son kind of did this, and he hadn't done this for like 2 years, where all of a sudden he just kind of like went crazy and hit the wall and started saying this stuff, and I'm like, whoa, Mason, you haven't done this in like 5 years, what's going on? And so I calmed him down, put him to bed, and I went upstairs, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just gave a class on this. Like, this is emotional release, this is what it does. It's bringing up that stuff that he buried down inside, that we've kind of, you know, got through, and it brought it up, he got rid of it, and it was done. And when that happens, you basically, well, it's on the other slide, that's called the release. So I don't want you to be scared of that, or like, oh, this is going to get worse. You got to realize this is part of the process, because our emotions are physical energies inside of our body, okay? You know, like when you felt grief, it's like a pain in your heart, okay? That is a real energy in your body, so that does have to be basically released. So these oils not only help bring it to the surface, but then as you are releasing, it's allowing it to support you through that process. This process basically is called release and receive. I kind of feel like I'm just like driving your way.
No, you're good. If
in order for us to receive anything in our life, we have to be able to kind of get rid of the old to bring in the new. And we can just constantly be doing that. We can constantly be upgrading our software. So this is a cleansing process, and so we need to realize that that is what's going on, okay? And we surrender to that process. And the more we kind of let go and just know, okay, this is what's going on, I'm just purging out all this old stuff, I'm cleaning house, then you'll understand what's going on and that it's okay. This releasing can include pain sometimes. It's an emotional roller coaster. There can be crying. There can be memories brought back to surface. Sometimes you don't know why your son's angry or, you know, whatever. We figured out what his was. It was when he was 2 years old, his dad would leave to go on business trips for months at a time, and he could not handle that. He thought his dad was leaving him. Well, that was just something that he'd internalized. So as you go through this, sometimes these little memories will pop up and you're going, man, I haven't thought about that for a long time. And that's just what it is. It kind of comes up to consciousness. It's like Patty talked about. You breathe that in, and it's triggering that memory in your brain, and then it's allowing you to let it go. Sometimes you can have childlike actions because most of these things happen when we're in our childhood. Okay? We don't know how to process them or how to deal with them, so we kind of throw a tantrum or act like a child. Okay, I'll tell you. So like my son, the very first time I saw him have this emotional release, and I didn't even know what it was, he was about 9. He was outside playing, and the little neighbor boy made him mad. And so he pushed his face down in the dirt and started hitting him and acting like he was 2 years old. And I was like, listen, what are you doing? Like, you're acting like you're 2 years old. 5 minutes later, he did something else. And I'm like, he was like stomping his feet and doing something like a 2-year-old. I kept saying it, and I thought, okay, this is just weird. And so that night, my husband went to work, and we're beekeepers, so he took him out in the truck with him, and then he drove, for 4 hours. And he came back and hopped in bed, and he was like, man, this was like the weirdest night. Like, Mason talked all night. And he talked about things that happened when he was like 2 years old. Like, Dad, do you remember this? And do you remember this? And he was like, I don't even know how he remembered those things. And then he's like, well, that was weird. And he went back to bed. And I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, what is going on? And I literally remember, and it's in our book, reading a line out of the book that said, these oils can release emotional trauma. And it was just like that popped in my mind. And I realized what was going on. This 2-year-old craziness had been brought to the surface. He dealt with it, and then he let it go. So anyway, that could kind of be a characteristic of it. But the better part is once you do get rid of it, you're allowed to receive and attract greater things in your life. But when you do, like when you've had a really good cry, afterwards you just feel better, like that's part of a release. You'll actually feel lighter. You'll have clearer thoughts. Your physical body will actually feel better. Sometimes a lot of laughter. And actually laughter can be a release too. You don't worry as much. Oh, what's that word? And you can start attracting things that are positive. Okay? Some people have said that there basically are 2 emotions out there. Okay? Love and fear. And any other emotions are kind of in between that. So when we have love, that's something that basically we were born with. And we have gratitude, and joy, and peace, and forgiveness. Okay, I said a spell check, sorry about that. And love. The other emotion here is fear. And fear is something that we've learned. And when we are faced with fear, we're usually angry, we're judgmental, we have sadness, we're burdened, we feel betrayal, and we have a lot of control, or we want control. So if we really want to start attracting these good things in our life, we need to be able to let go of this fear and able to let the love and everything that comes along with that enter in. Okay? So how do we get emotional baggage? Some of it's from our past experiences. A lot of times things can be passed down through generations. When you inherit things from your parents, you're not only inheriting their eyes and their ears and their certain characteristics, you can inherit actual experiences from them, or emotional-based things from them. Okay? Any traumatic event, experiences of others, think of 9/11. A lot of children had a lot of issues with that. It didn't happen to them, but simply watching that on TV. Anything that you experience with emotion can create that trauma or that experience. So it could be good or bad. If you, like advertisers know how to do this. If they create a commercial and you have this positive emotion to go with it, you want to go out and buy whatever it is they're selling. So positive or negative, whatever you're experiencing at that time, you can internalize that emotion. Another major one is our thoughts and our beliefs. Our thoughts are actual physical things in our bodies. This might be a new concept, okay? And it actually turns into a chemical in our brain, okay, the moment that we think them. And what happens is it turns into a neuropeptide, and there's a whole big scientific thing behind it here, and this lady explains it in this book. I'll show you in a second. And what that does is once those neuropeptides connect to your neurons, then they start getting into your blood cell, and they're within every cell in your body, okay? Just by what you think, okay? I want you to write this down if you're interested in all this kind of stuff. This book is called Living Healthy and Happily Ever After. And it's by, the last name, I'll just give you that, is Hintze. So Rebecca Hintze. And then Dr. Sue Lawton. So if you've ever heard any of the educational calls of Dr. Lawton, she's also in it too. They kind of talk about the science behind, as you can see my stickies, I thought, I'll start sticking some of the good parts. And yeah, very, very good book. We ended up getting this at Cambridge, so I assume it's probably, I don't know, My Oils Business or something. I don't know where it would be. Try My Oils Business and then Aroma Tools. So I want you to think of the power of that the thought you think will affect every cell in your body. So, do you want to have a fear-based thought or not? Okay? So, we have our subconscious mind here. This is where all this stuff is stored. Because if we knew it was stored in our conscious, we'd get rid of it. We think, we'd get rid of the stuff that we know is bothering us, okay? Or we just don't know how. But most of what we think and feel is right here in our subconscious mind, okay? Our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions are here. Continual thoughts create patterns. So, I want you to think about if you ever bought a new car, or there's a new car you like, okay? And I'm going to call it the blue Honda Civic. How many times do you notice a blue Honda Civic on the road once you get the blue Honda Civic, and you've never noticed it before, okay? Or whatever new car you like, okay? Even though there's just as many red or white or green Honda Civics. What happens is once you put that thought in your mind, then you actually start attracting that or noticing that, okay? So, if you're angry, what kind of people are you going to find in your life? Angry people. If you're happy and positive, you're going to kind of flock around those type of people, okay? So maybe think of the friends you have, and if we need to work on that, we can, okay? Negative thoughts, actually, they have found, are destroying our immune system, okay? Where positive thoughts actually increase our immunity, okay? And have you noticed that? People that are just like grumpy, or mean all the time, they're usually sick, versus people that are just happy and cheery most of the time, not saying we're immune to it most of the time, are happy, so think about what those thoughts are doing. So now that we know this, what can we do to change our subconscious thinking? So the first most important thing is just simply deciding to recommit, or to commit to rewrite your thought will change a whole bunch in your life. Kind of being aware of what's going on and realizing that you need to change some things, okay? When we change what we believe, we actually change our reality. So, kind of how it's been described is, if we were this pure, innocent vessel, who didn't have any beliefs or anything, okay, we'd see this world in this beautiful, picturesque, wonderful place. But we don't. We have generational things, we have experiences, and all of a sudden these kind of blocks kind of go up a little bit. Maybe one block goes up here, with anger, or money doesn't grow on trees might be a belief. Just all these kind of belief systems that just kind of start clogging us up, okay? So that creates our reality, because all of a sudden we're kind of looking through these lenses in a whole different way. That's why I look at the world differently than Teresa does, just because of our life experiences, okay? So we need to be able to change that, and that's where the oils basically kick in. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, okay? And that's kind of where I've tried some of these other things. There's a lot of other modalities out there. But the oils just seem to work faster, and they're so simple. You just put them on and they kind of start doing that stuff for you, okay? But when you use these oils with intention, they become way more powerful. So you can still use frankincense and purify and serenity and all these things, but when you do it with the intention to soften your heart or to release negative baggage, you're actually allowing that to work better and faster for you. So, just a few I wrote down is purify and serenity. Put that over your heart, and that will help to release trapped emotions and soften your heart. Okay. Lavender helps promote self-expression or communication. I thought that'd be good. Some of us are scared teaching classes or whatever. And that one you can actually just put on your neck, kind of like that, but do with the intention of, okay, that's going to help me express myself better. Wild orange is a wonderful one to bring in abundance. Sometimes we live in this mentality in our mind that we think there's just not enough out there. Like, it's called a scarcity mentality. And actually that is not true. There is so much abundance out there, but it is our beliefs, okay, those glasses that we put on, our perception to think that there's not enough. So guess what? When we believe that, then we're actually not attracting that. So, One of them that I brought here, well, we'll do both in here. Yes?
I have a question. I don't want anybody to laugh at this, but it's
We won't laugh.
every day. Where is your heart?
Where is your
Where
heart?
do you put the oils? Above, beside, below?
When I do it, I just kind of put it right, like, over it. But I'm doing it with the, and my intention is I'm purifying my heart. So that's kind of right. Do you have a thought, or you were asking?
I'm asking.
Okay, so that's what I do. So I'm passing away around the Purify. The Purify, if you want, you don't have to. Just take a little dab, just rub it on your heart, just like that, with the intent that you were going to get rid of a little old baggage tonight, okay? The Wild Orange, just put a drop on your palm, and you're going to inhale it. And actually they say when you smell the oils, it's releasing more of the emotional versus putting it on is more of the physical, okay? So that's going to bring you some abundance in your life too. The Wild Orange. These I don't want you to write down, I mean if you want to, but these are what I will email you. I kind of found some that I thought might be good. To generate a positive attitude and focus, okay? You know, here's the little recipe. But when you do this, when you state a positive affirmation, you're actually bringing yourself up to that level, okay? So let's say you don't have a positive attitude. By smelling this oil, which is on a totally different frequency, okay? These frequencies are higher than where we're at physically, okay? When you smell that oil, it's kind of bringing your awareness or your spirituality to that level. And then you would state, I trust myself to make good, positive decisions and goals are achievable. Now what that does is, remember about these cells we talked about, whatever you think, then will go through every cell of your body, and then you are projecting that and you are attracting that. So, smell your oils, and this book is full of 1,000,000 positive affirmations, okay, and different oils to use and recipes. You want to smell that and say that. And when you do that, you are creating a high emotion with a high frequency that is changing your subconscious, or helping to repattern your subconscious.
Do we have time I can tell just a real quick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
My sister, she wanted to use one of her bottles to put a sample in, and she had a TerraShield. TerraShield is like a bug repellent, really good bug repellent. Anyway, she didn't want to waste it, so she threw it on. She rubbed it on her neck, her back, her arms, and she's like, "Boy, I'm just gonna repel all the bugs in my life today." She works in a post office in a little tiny store. This man who comes in, who was a known sex offender, and was somebody who lived in the area. He came in constantly, just pestered. It was a little country store and post office. Anyway, 3 times he started to approach her, and she says he just always would come in and just gab, 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 and she was repulsed by him because of knowing who he was. Anyway, 3 times he came in and stopped 10 feet short of her post office window. And he turned and walked away. Went through the store, got some other things, paid for stuff, came back up 10 feet, the same spot every time. And then later in the day, so that happened 3 times, later in the day he came back and he started to approach the opposite. She said he stopped in the same exact spot and turned and walked away. So that's just...
Okay, so we want to get real here? We'll be real. Your energy, okay, what you're emitting. So we have, you can call it spiritual or not, but like we have an energetic system, okay? And this energetic system is sending you signals out all day long, okay? And that is why our reality is what we make of it. What you believe is really what you are attracting. So literally, and TerraShield, like when I do the scans on people, I have a little hand scanner, and if TerraShield comes up, I'll say, do you work with negative people? Do you work with people who are, what's the word I use? I use something more than negative. Huh?
Antagonistic.
Yeah. Then I kind of tell them, and have you ever like been to work all day and you come home and you're just like emotionally exhausted? Okay, some of our energy fields, okay, can actually be so affected by other people's energy field, okay? So, On Guard is a wonderful, wonderful oil that we should be using every day, and it actually helps kind of strengthen this energy field and protects us so that we don't absorb you don't want to absorb everyone's stuff, okay? You want to have such a positive outlook and aura or whatever that could be, energy field, that you're attracting only the good. So that I totally believe it. Like that really happens. Okay, to promote clarity of mind, I don't know, I just thought that'd be a good one for us all. To promote clarity, or if you're in a rut, sometimes we just have this negative cycle, or we know someone that just kind of keeps running the same thing over, and something's always happening to them, or they always have that luck. So that one is frankincense and wild orange, saying, I love myself, my life is wonderful. Start attracting that into your life. Some for grief, emotional trauma. This one I thought was interesting to maintain a positive energy around you. So you put these oils on and then you say, I'm maintaining extraordinary positive energy and healthy boundaries. Everyone I encounter is happy, helpful, delightful, and supports me in multiplying positive energy in my environment. Okay? I'll pass around.
I'm going to have to make that one part of our morning family ritual.
So think of what this could do in your home if you are diffusing these oils in your family. I mean, it is going to start releasing these things or getting rid of this stuff and just totally bringing them to a different frequency. The breathe, what I want you to do is put on, if you want to, but they say in the book to put on your chest and basically just blow out your frustrations, okay? So sometimes you look at these oils and you think, I mean, if you're having a stressful day or whatever, kind of look at them and think, okay, where can I go with this? It's your intent that's making it obviously happen and be more powerful.
Let's breathe.
So breathe is the next one coming around. Let's see here. Family issues. And to strengthen your self-worth. That's my last one. So, 2 books that I would recommend. Obviously, we have our first one. Did I pass it around? Oh! We're going to go to it right now. I'm going to have Bonnie read a little bit. This is from Daniel McDonald's book, Emotional Healing with Oils. And I'm going to have her read on the wild orange, and then Linda's going to read on the purified.
Can you have them stand up so they can...
Can you stand up so that everyone can see?
Wild orange. At its core, wild orange teaches the true meaning of abundance. It encourages individuals to let go of scarcity mindset with all of its manifestations, including fear, nervousness, inflexibility, workaholism, lack of humor, and the belief that there is not enough. Wild orange reminds the soul of the limitless supply found in nature. Fruit trees like wild orange give freely to all in need. Wild orange teaches us to give without thought of compassion. Wild orange invites us to completely let go as a child does and to live from the authentic self, from our authentic self. In our I can't see there, we are abundance. Sharing, playing, relaxing, and enjoying the boundaries of life, these are the gifts bestowed by wild orange.
Purified blend. doTERRA's Purified blend assists in cleansing and purifying. Purified can assist emotionally toxic individuals to enter a cleansing state. It revitalizes the energy field, washing away negative influences. It offers support to individuals when they are feeling trapped by negative emotions. Purified provides freedom from past habits and patterns as it cleanses the whole system. It is especially helpful in combating toxic emotions such as hate, rage, enmeshment, and negative attachment. In order to heal, we must receive. But in order to receive, we must release old baggage, which blocks the new, clean energy of life from entering in. Purify supports individuals in constantly releasing the old so they may be open to the new.
And where does it recommend putting the purifier?
Where does that one say to put purify? If you look right there, it'll say like,
The very bottom.
yeah, I forget what it says. Places or something.
On the heart, 1 to 2 drops on the heart. Place 10 to 12 drops in a spray bottle and mist around the room or diffuse in air. Inhaled regularly throughout the day.
Okay. So what do you do if you have a husband or a spouse or a child and you really think they need these oils and they won't touch them with a 10-foot pole?
Put them on
Put
it
it on
in
their
their sleep.
feet when they fall asleep at night. Or diffuse it in your room. Like there's a reason. Sometimes they're on such a lower frequency that like these oils, like have you ever been to a class you just think everyone in the world should have these and at the end of the class you're like, oh, I don't know. And you're like, are you really? Like, do you not get it? Sometimes they're just, their mind or this belief system is just so shut off that they just can't go there. The more you diffuse the oils or the more you wear them, you'll get them there. So don't give up on them.
I love to use the Purify to clean the toilets along with the baking soda and the vinegar. And my husband has his bathroom, so I tell him, here you go clean your toilet. He comes back with a different attitude. You're breathing it while you're over it, scrubbing it, so you're definitely smelling it.
Toilet water.
We've gone about 10 minutes. Does anyone want to share, or does anyone have any questions? Sharing any emotional release or questions, and I'll do the best I can. If not, we can be done.
I have an older daughter, and I'd like to use some of this on her. Does it work if you don't use it?
Yes. If you believe it, yes. And yeah, I mean, they will work no matter what. Okay, they will work. But when you put the intention behind it, then you're creating it faster. Yes. Yes. Sometimes it cannot work. If you, like I have learned when I do a class, or like I have a family member who, won't touch these, like a sister is what I'm saying, just won't even do it. I don't fight her because I think, you know what? The people who are ready, and they're kind of open to that. Maybe where this is your daughter, it might be different. But sometimes you can block it off so much, or your heart wall is what they call it, can be so closed up in there that it is very hard. But after consistent use, it will go in there and it'll soften it up and it will work. But that's why, have you ever had skeptics, like, you give them breathe and they're like, oh, that didn't work, or that didn't work. I mean, sometimes for them it just won't work. But you keep doing it, it'll eventually get through to them. And I think they just don't want to admit it too after a while.
Diffusing is a good way to get
Yeah.
that to happen.
Yeah.
And the cypress is that catalyst. It's got that catalyst effect. You might want to talk about it.
Oh,
Remember?
yes, but I forgot that. That was for anger.
Well,
Or what?
it's a good one to just use
Have them open
in
up the
general.
cypress, yeah.
Okay. If you go to Enlighten, that's where you get this book. You can Google Enlighten, or I'll give you the webpage here in a minute. Or Aroma Tools has it too, this Emotional Hook by Dan. That's what it is, yeah. Okay, it's all coming back to me. Okay, so Teresa will read Cypress.
Cypress is the oil of motion and flow. This powerful oil creates energetic flow and emotional catharsis. Stagnant energies are brought into motion through the fluid energy of this oil. Cypress works in the heart and mind, creating flexibility. Cypress teaches us how to let go of the past by moving with the flow of life. This oil is especially indicated for individuals who are mentally or emotionally stuck, stiff, rigid, tense, overstriving, or have perfectionistic tendencies. This hard driving stems from fear and the need to control. The individual tries to force things in life rather than allowing them to unfold naturally. Cypress encourages us to cast aside our worries, let go of control so that we can enjoy the thrill that comes from being alive. It reminds us that damnation is simply the discontinuation of growth and development. Cypress shows us how to have perfect trust in the flow of life. Inhale it regularly throughout the day. Place 1 to 3 drops over the kidneys. It really does cause the body fluids to move. So
Now you're ready.
you may have to go to the bathroom. Or it can also be placed just below the navel. So the emotions that are addressed is controlling, fear, perfectionism, rigidity, if you feel stuck or tense.
I don't know, that's really powerful and it opens the floodgates so you can want
now
to
I'm
ease into
or
it.
come back to me. And it's very potent, so be careful with it. I forgot that with Cypress. That was the one I was using, that dream.
Where did you get that?
Okay, this one is, oh, sorry, it's Discover.
That's her book over here.
That's my book. Oh, that's your book. Okay, sorry. Discover Truth Within. Yeah, I'll start over. Discover Truth Within.com. But I also think it's on like My Oils Business or something too. I think they do.
And do you have both do you own them?
I have his new his other new one. I do. I like this one.
That's what I was going to tell you. In my opinion, yes. I like that one a lot better.
So do I.
So when they're ordering them, I just
Isn't his new one, it's not actually specifically doTERRA, it's just in general?
Yeah,
Because I think at convention he said his next one would be kind of a follow-up to this one, that it would be more doTERRA specific.
Okay.
So,
So if we kind of go back here to our healing, obviously we know the physical. I talked about the heart, a little bit about the beliefs that these are going to start getting rid of, and then it moves you into this spiritual awareness. And I just won't even describe it because I think it's a personal journey, okay? But definitely a spiritual awareness, and then until you find out what your life's purpose is. And one thing I guess I'll maybe say about this is when Justin and Tana Lee came, they said something that just, I don't know, it stuck with me, so I'll pass it on. He said, you know, doTERRA may not be the end result or whatever, but it's the vehicle to get you to what you want to do in your life. And so maybe you think, like for me, I wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to be this big diamond in doTERRA, and that's just like my life's purpose. Like I knew that wasn't my life's purpose. Okay? And once he gave me that information where I knew, but doTERRA is the tool, the vehicle to get me there, whether that means so that I will be financially set so I can open a healthcare center, that's my dream, or to allow me to work with people, to have experience to work in a healthcare center, you know, whatever it was. It allowed me then to kind of let go of forcing it, or actually I wasn't forcing it, I was basically not grabbing onto the opportunity because I wasn't quite sure if that's what I wanted to do. So realize that take advantage of this opportunity that you have. I was in Texas here a few weeks ago doing a kind of a training. In fact, it's called Masterminds, and it was for MLM companies to come and mastermind and learn and be training staff. And so I went, and so all different companies were there. Amway, Melaleuca, doTERRA, we were the largest group. There was 200 people of us there, okay? And afterwards, a lady came from a different group, and she came up because we kind of had our own little shared doTERRA meeting after, and she said, I don't think you realize what you guys have. And this was before the election. But she said, you have a product that there's been nothing out there like it. And you are on the brink of basically an evolution that is going to start, or a revolution that's going to start. And you've got the keys. Like, you guys are the leaders that are going to take this information to the world who doesn't have it. They are searching for something else. The medical world is not providing them the solutions that they want, and you guys have it, and you don't even realize how powerful you have it. And when you hear that from Emily Wright, you're like, okay, yeah, like everyone's going to talk up their own company, But when she came in, like, we were in tears because we were like, okay, yeah, this is like powerful. Like, you guys have tools and you guys have the leadership skills, and all we have to do is go out and share. It sells itself. We're not selling this stuff. It sells itself. So take opportunity for maybe what you have and go with it and start sharing it with people, because I feel like now, even after the election, there's going to be, you know, this Obamacare that is going to like limit maybe what we can have. And this, I feel like people are going to be searching. People want it, and we've got it. So start holding these classes and have that positive belief that like my belief seriously is like everyone in the world needs this and everyone wants it, and I just can't get to them fast enough. Like, seriously, that's what I believe. And I do. I just have people who always want to hear about it. So make sure you check your mindset, or like your little talk in there. Because if it's like, oh, no one ever signs up or no one comes to classes, well, that's what you're attracting. So be careful with that. So anyway, any other questions? Okay.
This release you're talking about,
Uh-huh.
I had used some oils, and then I came to a meeting, and on the way, I noticed that something that I ordinarily would not have said came out of my mouth.
Yep.
And
Good or bad?
bad.
That's okay. That's a release.
I might have thought it, but I would not have said it.
Okay.
But it came out of my mouth, and I was, do these oils do that? Do I have to hide after I use them for a while? You know, I mean, and I
Maybe
thought,
at
I even
some
asked my
point.
friends, I said, do these oils do that kind of stuff?
Only for 5 minutes.
Only for a few minutes, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you have
I
traumatic experience, and you've always been there where you kind of like swear inside, or maybe it was
Well,
just
I didn't swear. I didn't swear. It's just that I got irritated, and I just went, you know. And
Yeah.
ordinarily I would have stuffed it.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And stuffing's not.
Stuffing is not
I know.
Do you want me to? Patty, do you want me to review? Like, I'm done. So, okay.
All right, give it up,
Thank you.
Jennifer.